Hey everybody, and welcome to Teacher Tip Tuesday. I am coming to you this week after having some kind of week before. I'll say that. So, the teacher tip I want to bring to you is priority. Understanding your priorities and those of your students. And yes, we can do that simultaneously. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So for those of you who don't know, I am in Texas, and we have been dealing with a horrible winter storm. I know it's going across the country. We don't or didn't have power for so many across the state, water issues, busted pipes, just damage. There weren't things at the stores. Stores weren't open. It was really a week that will be remembered. And it was a very hard week. And as we went, so from Monday until Friday, there was no school. And we need to decide it, or they have decided, are we going back? How are we going back? For my district, a lot of school buildings have damage and kids can't go back. They need to assess the damage. Families are still without power. People still have things going on. So we'll not have school Monday, Tuesday. Kids will work all online on Wednesday, and then we'll get more information forthcoming depending on the state of the campuses for Thursday, Friday. So I started thinking about priorities. Started thinking about the priority of my family and what they needed. Because I still have grades I need to go post. They were due on the 12th. We got an extension to the 22nd. I still haven't done it. I was blessed to be one of the few people who had power. We did have water issues, but my mother didn't have power. But my priority was getting to her and getting her somewhere warm, making sure we had what we needed. And I didn't think about grades. That was my priority in that moment. Not my job, not a deadline. I checked in on my families, sent them messages, sent them updates. But those other tasks at school, they weren't a priority for me in that moment. Taking care of my family was. And that's what I mean about finding your priorities. What are your priorities? And not feeling bad about it, because I honestly don't feel bad that I have not finished my grades. I have until the 22nd, so now that there's an extension, but before there was an extension, my family had needs, and I put those needs first. And as an educator, you should not have to feel guilty for prioritizing the needs of your family. And I want to put a disclaimer that I work for amazing administrators, and so they would never make me feel guilty. They would always be very understanding. But I have worked for tyrant administrators before who would have been blowing up my phone during the middle of a crisis asking me about grades. I hope that's not something you're dealing with. But then even as educators, we can have the best admin in the world, and there's some kind of weird guilt complex out there that makes you think if you put your personal life as a priority over a school deadline, you should feel guilty. Let that go. What are your priorities? And priorities should be personal and professional. So going back, so that was my personal priority. And then when we talked, me and my team were communicating because we had our instructional calendar ready for the 5-6 weeks. And obviously, the first week of the 5-6 weeks, we had no school. And then the second week, we're only going to have 3 days of school. And we know we probably have students who have had families who have gone through hardship this past week. What are their needs? What if they have internet connectivity issues or anything else? They have needs. So we're not even going to touch that beautiful instructional calendar we made and worked so hard on. We said that's not a priority. What is a priority? We're going to do really fun read alouds with them. We're going to do some review with them on some concepts that they have been learning, but they could still refine their skills in, so it's not completely new. But we're going to prioritize easing them back in. We're going to prioritize easy access for parents. We're going to prioritize assignments that allow parents to help that will not consume the other stuff that they may be dealing with, thinking about them. So, for your teacher tip this week, think about when you're planning your week, are your priorities coming from what you know to be best? Or are they coming from outside people who are trying to tell you what to do and it may not be a priority? So, thinking about your priorities and not letting yourself go in the process because your personal priorities are just as important as your professional priorities. So, keep that in mind. Think about your priorities as we move through the rest of this year. We'll see you next Tuesday.